ॐ वाङ्मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितं आविराविर्म एदि वेदस्य मा आनिस्तः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीरनेन अदितेनाहोरात्रान् सन्ददामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु मामवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः नारायणं निखिलपूर्णगुणैकदेहं सर्वज्ञम् अच्युतमपेतसमस्तदोषं प्राणस्य सर्वचित् अचित् परमेश्वरस्य साक्षात् अधीश्वरमियां शरणं रमेशम्. So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for Satsangis who have joined for part 4 of Aitareya Upanishad. So let's dig in straight away. So, what's the Rishi for? Who's the Rishi for Aitareya Upanishad? Mahidasa Aitareya, Rama Devi, Chaturmukha Brahma, Mukhya Prana, and all the acharyas who have given us the commentaries and the tippanis on Aitareya Upanishad. The Devata for Aitareya Upanishad is Mahidasa Aitareya himself, who is nothing but Akaranamaka Paramatma. So the Devata is Mahidasa Aitareya, an Akaranamaka Paramatma. And the Rishi also is Mahidasa Aitareya, and the Chandas, as you know, it's primarily in prose form, so no Chandas contemplation, but there are some verses from internal evidences within the Rig Veda that comes up in this Upanishad, and we'll pick up those Chandas when we get there. So what is the primary theme of Aitareya Upanishad? Vishnurahasya, glories of Vishnu. That is the primary theme of Aitareya Upanishad. Aitareya Upanishad is primarily theistic. It's a theistic Upanishad. All Upanishads are theistic. Yeah. Some folks think it's monistic, but actually it is monotheistic. And what is the monotheistic philosophy of the Upanishad? Vishnu Sarvottamatva is the primary theme of the Upanishads, glories of Vishnu. So Harihi Om, what did we do a couple of weeks ago? Esha Pantaha, Etat Karma, Etat Brahma, Etat Tasatyam. So those are the four things that we actually discussed quite a lot. So let's just recite this. It's a beautiful, first kanda to think about. Esha Pantaha, Etat Karma, Etat Brahma, Etat Satyam. तस्मान्न प्रमाद्ये तन्न अतीयात् नहि अत्यायन् पूर्वे ये अत्यायन् ते परा बभूः तदुक्तं ऋषिणा प्रजाहतीस्रो अत्यायम् ईयुर्न्यन्या अर्कम् अभितो विविश्रे बृहत्ततस्तौ भुवनेष्वन्तः पवमानो हरित आविवेशेति. That's the first paragraph if you like. So let's focus on this first paragraph. Hopefully we'll make some progress thinking about this first paragraph of this first kanda, which is a profound philosophy of the Vedas. Yesha panta, yetat karma, yetat brahma, yetat satyam. Okay, here Paramatma is being celebrated with four names. What are those four names? Panta, karma, brahma, satyam. Okay. Panta, we understood Panta means what? It's very, very important. The very first verse, Esha Pantaha, means he is the path. And also he is the destination. So when we say he is the path, and we looked at it last time, when we sort of approach a great person, we say Ivane Dari, Ivane Vari, Ivane Dari. We say that in our language. So that is exactly the language of the Vedas here. Esha Pantaha. He is the path. That means what? Acharya says Swaprapti Hetutvat. Yeah. He is the reason for our Swaprapti. So what is the Swaprapti? Swa there has got various meanings, right? If you remember, Swa could be Swatantra Paramatma's knowledge, Swatantra Paramatma's abode, or it could be Swajnana, our self-realization. For all this self-realization leading on to God realization and eventually leading to our entry into Vaikuntha, they all happen because of the divine grace. Okay, so that is the primary meaning of the first verse. Eshaha pantaha. And there we also understood the word Esha. Esha is a pronoun. So there we had a doubt. Who is this Esha? The Upanishad is starting with Esha. Who is this Esha? The Esha is the one that is celebrated in the Brihati Sahasra, which is also called Brihadukta. So that Vishnu who is celebrated in Brihati Sahasra is what is being discussed here. So he's called Eshaha. This, which one? The one that has been celebrated in Brihati Sahasra, he is the path. Okay. Karma. And we understood that the karma that we looked at 2 weeks ago has got an entirely different meaning. It has got an entirely different approach. Not the karma of you and me that we are familiar with his actions. Yeah. But when it comes to Paramatma, in the Parama Mukhya Vritti, karma is the name of Paramatma. Okay. Jagat Janmadi Kartrutva, Sarvajnatva, Kartrutvat, Matrutvat, Sarvajnatvat. So Kar and Ma. Kar stands for Kartrutvat. Manam, Matrutvat. There are various meanings of Mana there. Mana can mean Jnana. Mana can also mean Laya. Laya means dissolution of the universe. Mana means knowledge, sarvajnatva. And of course, karma, kartrutva means what? What is God's kartrutva? Jagat Janmadi kartrutva. The eightfold dispensations of the universe. So in that deepest sense, karma is the name of Paramatma. Yeah, we should never forget that. And then, of course, is Brahma, and we are all very familiar with Brahma. Brahmaisha Gunapurnatvat. Brahman means Gunapurna. Yeah. He who is an abode of infinite auspicious attributes. He is all pervasive in time, space, and attributes. That is the definition of Brahma. Yetat Brahma. Yetat Satyam. Okay. Satyam Sadhuswarupataha. Satyam means Nirdoshatva. He doesn't have any defects. So in Brahman, we understood his Gunapurna, and by the word Satyam, we understand that he is Doshadura. Sadagamaika Vigneyam Samatita Kshara Aksharam Narayanam Sada Vande Nirdosha Asesha Sadgunam. So that is Nirdosha Asesha Sadgunam is the primary definition of Brahman, who is none other than Vishnu himself. Brahma Shabdashta Vishnaveva as declared in the Brahma Sutra Bhashya. So the very first line, Esha Pantaha, Yetat Karma, Yetat Brahma, Yetat Satyam, gives you a clear indication that Aitareya Upanishad is a theistic Upanishad. It is a theistic philosophy. It is summarizing the Vedic philosophy, which is theistic, which is monotheistic. It is not monistic. It is not nihilistic. It is not monistic. Nihilism and monism are they are on very similar platforms. Okay. So when you look at this verse, then we always have to go to our Brahma Sutra and we understand Atato Brahma Jignasa. Why do we have to do Brahma Jignasa? We understood that divine grace will move him so that we attain our liberation. How do we know this Paramatma? Janmadyasya Yataha. And how is he celebrated in Aitareya Upanishad? Etat Karma. Okay, Janmadyasya Yataha. Two most important sutras of Brahma Sutra. Atato Brahma Jignasa Janmadyasya Yataha. He who is the creator. So I want to just want to pause for a few seconds. So we keep saying, yeah, he is Jagat Janmadi Kartrutva. Because he is Jagat Janmadi Kartrutva, we understand he is Sarvagnya. He is omniscient, he is omnipotent, he is the creator of universe and all that. We've had endless discussions in our satsang. But I just want to break for a minute. Why did God create the universe? Okay. What moved him to bring a creation into being? Why did he create the universe? That is a fundamental philosophical problem of all of world religions. Why did this supreme being decided that he needs to create the universe? Okay, so what is our views on this? What is our thoughts on this? I just want all of us to sort of think about this and generously contribute to this, please. Why did God create the universe? Shaptarshi, go for it. Thank you.
Hi, Madhusudanji. Namaskar. So I think as God is all merciful, and he knows that the jivas, we always want to. It is our nature to do something all the time. So God creates this universe out of kindness, so we can exhibit what is our true nature in the. Otherwise, He does not have any intention that He is dependent on it. Basically, it is just out of His happiness and out of His mercy.
Very beautifully put, Saptarshiji. Thank you very much. If there are no further ideas to share here, I'll move on. So, absolutely the right answer. God has got nothing to gain from his creation, from bringing a creation into being. Okay, it is only for our benefit, says the Vedas. So here is bringing that samanvaya in this slide. So when we say esha panta etat karma etat brahma and etat satyam, we have to think about the four vyuha forms of Narayana. Okay? These four names are there not because of some coincidence. They are there specifically to denote what? Aniruddha, Pradyumna, Sankarshana, and Vasudeva. Okay. So go back to that slide to understand how Panta is Sankarshana, how Karma is Aniruddha, how Satyam is Pradyumna, and how Nada is Brahma and Vasudeva, and so on. So that link is very beautifully given by our Acharya and all the commentators following Srimad Acharya. But when you take it up in Pindanda, in our bodies, we have four states of consciousness. Paramatma controls four states of consciousness of souls. So again, a very quick quiz. What are the four states of consciousness? So who wants to come in and share their thoughts on the four states of consciousness, please, of the jivas? So four states. Anybody wants to go for it? Pragnesh, go for it. Thank you. You need to unmute Pragnesh.
Jagrat, Swapna, Susup, and Turiya.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Pragnesh. Four states of consciousness of souls. Yeah. Controlled by four Vyuha forms of Paramatma. Aniruddha, Pradyumna, Sankarshana, Vasudeva. Four states controlled by four forms of Paramatma. Again, four Vyuha forms. Okay. And of course, God brings this, as Saptarshiji so beautifully mentioned, God brings forth creation so that the souls can work out their destinations based upon their swabhavas. And how do they work out their destinations? By going through the three states of consciousness that they have in the material plane. Yeah, Jagrati Sthana, Swapna Sthana, and Sushupti Sthana. These are the three states available for our souls in samsara, and hence this Om has got a big significance, isn't it? Even the symbol Om, the curves that you see, 1, 2, and 3, they denote the three states of consciousness of the jivas that the Paramatma controls. And then you have the fourth state, which is beyond the three states of samsara, that is the Turiya form that he controls. Okay, so from that perspective, this verse, opens up for contemplation at various planes. Us starting off with the very first content: why did the God create the universe? And of course, we are eternally grateful. And as a Saptarshi said very few minutes ago, if God had not created this universe so that we can work out our salvations, imagine our state. We will be in the deep slumber, in the deep you know state in the primordial state in the womb of Brahman, where we are in that stupor. It's a stuporous state, and we would be nowhere. So we owe it to Paramatma that he is actually, through his grace, actually brought us into this samsara. Okay? So once we have understood that, Aitareya, Mahidasa Aitareya then says, therefore, guys, this is the most important thing for us. Tasmat na pramadyet. Okay. Therefore, this Brahman should never be forgotten. We should be eternally grateful that he has actually brought us into being and given us all the facilities to work out our salvation. Don't forget him. Don't forget him. Is in the very first line of Aitareya Upanishad. This is the key message. Tasmat na pramadyet. This fundamental truth should always be remembered. Don't forget Brahman. Don't forget Brahman. Okay, but most of us have, and that is one of the reasons why we are going through this samsara and suffering. When in Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya 273, Srimad Acharya says, Smartavyam satatam tattu vismartavyam na jatu vit. सर्वे विधि निषेधाः स्युः एतयोः एव किङ्कराः. All the vidhis and nishedas that are being given in the Vedas are not an end to itself. They are there so that they give us a framework in which we think about Paramatma always. Okay. And then, of course, our Yajnavalkya has advised Atma va are drashtavya, for that Shrotavyo Mantavyo Nitidyasitavya. Not once a year. No, we don't do Shrotavya Mantavyo Nitidyasitavya, not once a year, not once a month, not once a week. We have to do it all the time through Vidhi Nisheda rules, so that we think about this Brahman all the time. Tasmat na pramadet. Okay. So here is an interesting view that I want to just share here. So Tasmat na pramadet. Don't forget Brahman. Aitareya is telling us, don't forget Brahman. But here is an interesting view of the monastic philosophers. The monastic philosophers say, because we have forgotten that we are Brahman, we are in samsara. Okay, it's a very interesting view. It is their view, and a good luck to them. That because of ignorance, because of the cosmic ignorance or avidya that they term, their view is that we have forgotten we are Brahman, so we are going through samsara. Okay. Hold on to that idea, because our Aitareya's language is very clear. He says, Tasmat na pramadit. He says, don't forget Brahman. Okay, but our monastic philosophers think, because we have forgotten, we are in samsara. The very next word is even more challenging for the monastic thinkers, because what does he say? Tanna atiyat. These are the two things about Brahman. Tasmat na pramadyet. Don't forget him. Tanna atiyat. Tat na atiyat. Atiyat means what? Atikramana. That is surpassing him. What does that mean? Okay. Brahman or Vishnu should not be surpassed, says Mahidasa Aitareya, who is Vishnu himself. Of course, he is teaching Rama Devi, Chaturmukha, Mukhya Prana, and all the other devatas. Remember that background that we studied. He is saying, guys, don't forget me, don't surpass me. Okay. Vishnoho sarvottamatvameva mahatatparyam sarvagamanam, declared by Srimad Acharya and Vishnu Tattva Nirnaya. So what does that mean? Leaving that Vishnu, others should not be considered as sarvottama. That is the key message. Tat na atiyat. Okay. So here, let us pause here. When I say we should not consider others as sarvottamatva, others as sarvottama or superior to Vishnu, the more important aspect is there is no one who is equal to Vishnu. Okay, and last time we looked at Shvetashvatara Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad, all those verses very clearly saying there is nobody similar to me. Krishna has said it very clearly in the Gita. Guys, there is nobody similar to me. If nobody is similar to me, by definition, it means that nobody is higher than me. Okay, so again, it is a very, very clear view of monotheistic philosophy of Aitareya Upanishad. Okay. Tat na atiyat. Okay, nobody can think they are equal to Brahman. So I am Brahman just not come into this equation. 100% it doesn't come at all in this equation. And sometimes I wonder why only a few chapters were chosen by the other school to bring about a bhashya is probably because they conveniently want to avoid these chapters that clearly talk about the theistic philosophy of the Vedas, and that Vishnu nobody can surpass, nobody can be Vishnu, okay? Nobody can be Brahman. Okay? That is very clear from this language in the very first line of Aitareya Upanishad. So I hope that that comes across. It's a serious business, right? So we just need to be careful how to approach. So we just need to see the Upanishad as how it is saying, just look at the mastaka here, just the pustaka here. Don't use our mastaka and read into it. Just look at the pustaka. Tasmat na pramadit, tat na atiyat. So immediately Aitareya. So I think we touched upon this very briefly in the last satsang, but we will pick it up a little bit more today. Nahi atyayan purve is the next verse. Okay. So after he said, Yesha pantaha etat karma etat brahma etat satyam tasmat na pramadye tanna atiyat. Nahi atyayan purve. Aitareya says, guys, no, there are lots of examples of people who never surpassed me. In the previous word, he said, please don't surpass me. Please don't think that there are others who are equal to me or higher than me. Don't do that and don't forget me, he said. And then in the very next word, he said, Nahi atyayan purve. There is a lot of pura kalpa, as it's called in the Shastras. Yeah. So, Nahi, so na atyayan, he means stresses that. Nahi atyayan purve. Who are these purve? So, we know that Vishnu or Brahman is always there. Even before creation, he is there. In Pralaya, he is always there. Okay? And with him is always the ever liberated Shri Tattva or Chetana Prakriti or Lakshmi Tattva as we worship. Okay? So, there that Purve is the beings, the being that was there even before creation. So what was that one being that was always there before creation along with Vishnu is Sri Tattva, who is the Abhimani of the Mula Prakriti. She is also called Chetana Prakriti. So she is, Aitareya says, look, my Rama Devi who is next to me, she has never surpassed me. She's not even similar to me. She's never surpassed me. There you have an example. That is one example of Purva. The other Purve means ancient. Yeah, Purve means ancient. Who were born first during creation. So the Tattvabhimani Devatas, for example, Chaturmukha Brahma, Vayu, Garuda, Sesha, Rudra, and Indra, and so on. The Tattvabhimani Devatas, they have not surpassed me or forgotten me, says Aitareya. Okay? Here is a problem. So these are all Tattvabhimani Devatas, but also initially in creation, we know from Kashyapa and Diti, Aditi, Diti, Dhanu, and so on, all the demons, Asuras, they have also come into being. Okay, but they have surpassed, right? So when I say Purve, we cannot restrict it just to Chaturmukha and Vayu. There are also the Rakshasas, the Pishachas, the Daityas, the Asuras, the Dhanavas of this world who have either forgotten Brahman or they have surpassed Brahman. What about those guys? So Aitareya again, by putting the word Purve, he clarifies, when I say those guys who have not surpassed, I also mean Purvanti iti Purve. Those who are pure, those who are perfect beings, those who are Satvika Jivas, they have not surpassed me. Okay, so many layers of thought that our acharyas actually teach us. When you look at Nahi Atyayan Purve, Lakshmi did not surpass me. Chaturmukha Brahma, Vayu have not surpassed me. And all the Satvika Jivas of the previous Kalpa have not surpassed me. And even in the current Kalpa, Brahma Kalpa, they will not surpass me. Okay? Nahi Atyayan. They did not supersede or surpass me. Because of that, what happened to them? They got rid of their Prakriti Sambandha and attained eternal moksha. Nahi Atyayan Purve is important. Okay. And then our Aitareya then puts, the language is so beautiful and so logical. So after saying Nahi Atyayan Purve, that all these Satvika Jivas, Sri Tattva and Tattvabhimani Devatas did not surpass me, they achieved their eternal existence. And then he says, those who surpass me, this is important for us and we need to take this on board. Ye atyayan teha parababuvuhu. And Aitareya is very clear here. Those who try to surpass me, those who try to transgress me, those who try to supersede me, what is their fate? teha parababuvuhu. And that parababuvuhu is important. Such souls will be defeated. They have a greatest loss of their existence. What is the greatest loss? Going to eternal hells. Andantamas. That is the worst failure for a soul, is to go to Andantamas or eternal hells. Okay. So those that surpass Brahman or transgress Brahman, the Upanishad is very clear. Ye atyayan te parababuvuhu. At this point, I think it's important to just look back and understand what are the various types of superseding or transgressing Brahman. Denying the existence of God. Yeah, the atheist of the world. Everybody is entitled to their views, but the Vedas are very clear. Denying the very existence of God leads to eternal hells. There are those who think that they are Brahman themselves. That is also a transgressing Brahman. There are others who think that there are other entities that are superior to him. There are some that underestimate him. Some who thinks grace is not necessary. Some who think that his different forms are different. His Vyuha forms are different from his Mula Rupa. And I have heard and had conversations with such people who think they are different. That's a sad fact, but the Vedas are very clear. Their destination is where? Andantamas. There are some who think that he's got defects. Okay? And some who do the worst of the evil acts, and we see many of those in the modern times. What is their destination? Eternal hells. Parababuhu. Okay? This is very, 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 in my view, very important verses. We just should memorize this and ruminate on this on when we are driving, we are talking, think about this verse. Nahi atyayan purve, they did not surpass me, so they attained eternal liberation. But those that surpass me, they go to parababuhu, they go to the eternal hells. Okay, so this is all cautions which we need to take very seriously when Mahidasa Aitareya, Narayana himself is telling us. Here is my small little question for our contemplation. Okay, so why do we have these kind of souls? There are some who don't nahi atyayan, there are some who atyayan, there are some who surpass, some who don't. God could have created souls so that none can surpass, supersede, shun, or forget him. Why did he not do so? So, how would we kind of approach this problem? God could have created all souls the same, right? Why should this happen? Anandji.
Basically, God did not create souls. The souls were eternal. He only released the soul so that they can do the karmas and try and achieve their respectful bliss, whatever is the capacity. It is the swabhava of the soul which is more important than the creation by the God.
Sure. So that's a very Vedic view, Anandji. I'll just rebut this just for conversation, just for argument's sake. I will say, look, there are other world religions who don't think that souls are eternal, that God created souls. So in that situation, God could have made them all equal, right? But he did not. So you're right in that sense that God, in that sense, did not bring about the creation of souls. We know from chapter 212 of Gita, that is the very first verse that talks about it. So what would happen if actually he says, okay, guys, I will actually convert all the souls to good ones? What is the problem there? I think Neeta Sushrut were briefly on as well. So if you want to share, and then Anand and others can come in.
So the Vedic view is that he has the ability to change souls, but he does not do it because that would make the Vedas apramanya. So to preserve the sanctity of the Vedas, he does not do it, although he has the capacity to do anything he wants to do.
Super answer, Sushruji. I think Veena Suresh, Saptarshiji, and then we'll go to Veena and Suresh.
So, yeah, as Anandji also said that basically God did not create the souls, and also even though He has the capability to change it, uh, but if he changes them to be his devotee, it will just make him an attention seeker, and that will just ruin his greatness, and his greatness is he is letting us do what we want to do, not he wants us to do. And yeah, but coming to the changing of swabhava, he can change the swabhava, and he will only do so if the jiva wants to change his swabhava. So if I request God that, okay, I am understanding, okay, I have some problems, God, please help me to become a better person, then maybe he can help, because it's my request, but not on his will, or he will not impose it on us. Yeah.
Super. Thank you, Saptarshiji. So we have lots of contributors here. Was it Veena and Suresh? And then we will come to Panagaji and then Shrikantji. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Madhuji. I mean, to answer your question, that if God created the souls and he could simply have created all of them to be his followers and those who worship him, where was the need for any creation? He could have granted moksha straight away to anybody and everybody. There's no role of creation in that entire cycle. So that's how I would understand.
Very interesting, Sureshji. Panagaji and then Shrikant.
I'm not sure if God created everyone with a clean slate to start off with, but there is definitely Jiva Kartrutva and Jiva Swabhava, which will prompt the Jivas to take either Satvika, Rajasa, Tamasa, and have different karmas.
Thank you, Panagaji. Shrikantji.
Hariya Namaha. I agree with everything said by everybody, but I'll give a folksy example. That's how I work. When your son or daughter passes high school, being Indians, we want them to become doctors, engineers, what have you. But they have their own mind, their own swabhava. Someone wants to become an artist, somebody wants to become a painter, and our entire community will get stunned by that statement. But that's their calling, that's their swabhava. We have to let it be. That's what God is doing. Whatever is your swabhava, play it out, son, and do the best. If you want to be the best barber, be the best barber. Be the best soccer player. Be, what's his name, that guy the English soccer player, and that sort of thing. That's my example of not a cricket stadium, but a soccer stadium. Thank you.
Thank you very much to everyone. Fantastic contributions from everyone. So all beautiful points picked up in our discussion. So just remember, one of the key points is, of course, kartum, akartum, anyada kartum, samartaha. He can do anything, whatever he wants, but he chooses not to do. His self-limitation is his greatness. He chooses not to do that, although he is capable of, because that self-limitation is that he abides by the constitution that he has created for the universe, and that constitution that he has created for the universe is the Vedas, and he abides by what is there in the Vedas. There is an important sutra called Gati Samanya. So go back and check about the Brahma Sutra, very, very important for that. To preserve the constitution, he limits himself. That is one. Because if he changes the swabhava of the souls from the bad ones to good ones, that means he is destroying the souls and creating a new souls. But in the Vedas, we know that he has never done that. He says, Natvevaham jatunasam, natvam neme janadipaha, na bhavishyamaha sarve vayam ataha param. Important verse of the Gita. So he abides by that. So thank you very much for the wonderful, wonderful discussions. Okay. So nahi atyayan purve ye atyayan para babuvuhu. So right in the second line of the Aitareya Upanishad, our Aitareya has said there are broadly two categories of souls. Okay. Whether we like it or not, forget about folks who think they themselves are Brahman and the souls don't exist. We are not at all interested in that conversation. That is very delusional. We are looking at what the Aitareya Upanishad is saying. Nahi atyayan, one category, ye atyayan is the second category. Who are these various types of souls? Is the very next important philosophical discussion. Okay, so this is beautiful in Aitareya Upanishad. So what Mahidasa Aitareya does here is, you know what, I've made a big claim here. I've said, look, there are one group of souls who don't surpass me. And there are the group of souls that surpass me, transgress me, hate me, think they are themselves me. Those kind of categories are also there. And who are those souls? Okay, so for that, to provide additional clarification of what he has claimed, what our Mahidasa Aitareya does is, he does a self-citation. He says, guys, Rig Veda talks about this. Let me give you an evidence. I'm not picking up my own story here. I'm actually giving you what is there in the Vedas. So he goes to the internal evidence from the Rig Veda itself. Taduktam Rishina. Tad Uktam Rishina. He gives a reference. Taduktam Rishina. Yeah. Taduktam Rishina, he said. So the Rishi, there we have to think about what that word Rishi actually means. So we have looked at this a few times. Rishajnane. Rishi means knowledge. Okay. Rishati iti rishihi. The Jnanin or the Veda Drashta. He is a Rishi because he has seen that knowledge. He is a perceiver, seer of the knowledge. Yeah. Rishajnane. Rishati iti rishihi. And our gurus also tells us there is another etymology of Rishi. Rishanti anena iti rishihi. That from which we get knowledge. Okay, where do we get knowledge about Paramatma? We get only from revealed scriptures, Veda. So, Rishi has two meanings. Rishi means knowledge. Rishi means a Rishi who is a Rishi, a celebrated Rishi in a deep forest who has seen a Vedic mantra or a Veda Drashtra, or Vedas itself is called Rishi. Okay, so we need to be clear about what is it that Aitareya is saying here. Taduktam Rishina. Taduktam Rishina. Look, there is a Rishi who saw this, and that Vedas say this. So that is the two meanings there. The question is, who is that Rishi who has seen this? So in the very first satsang on Aitareya, or the second, I can't remember, we spoke about, the original Rishi. I think Anand Kulkarniji brought about this discussion very beautifully for the second or the third satsang on Aitareya. So we understood that the original seer of all the Vedas, simultaneously of the infinite Vedas, is Brahman himself in his Hayagriva Namaka form. Okay. So here Mahidasa Aitareya, who is Narayana's avatara himself, he is actually citing himself. Look, as Hayagriva, I've kind of taught this to Chaturmukha Brahma. Okay, this Hayagriva, we have seen this before. Hayagriva also is called Mahadbhuta. He is also called Chandomaya. He is called Pramana Mula. He's got so many names in the Vedas, Hayagriva. So think about this. Mahadbhuta, Chandomaya, Pramana Mula, they're all synonyms of Hayagriva. So here our Mahidasa Aitareya very beautifully gives internal citation. This is the beauty of our scriptures, okay? It is completely evidence-based, not some airy-fairy hypothesis stuff. Completely evidence-based. And this is what our Aitareya is doing. That is himself, he is doing a self-citation. But if you also say, okay, could there be another Rishi who has seen this? Yes, in the 9th mandala, Pragata mandala. Okay. Who is that Rishi? Jamadagni. So that Rishi, so our Aitareya goes to the 8th mandala, 101st Sukta, 14th Rik. Okay. He gives evidence on that. Taduktam Rishina Prajahatisro Atyayam Iyur Nyanya Arkam Abhito Vivishre Brihattatastav Bhuvaneshwantaha Pavamano Harita Avivesheti. Who are those types of souls that transgressed Brahman? Who are the types of souls that did not transgress Brahman? The evidence comes from the Rig Veda. Very, very clear dichotomization of souls. Okay, and this is seen by our Jamadagni, documented in the Pragata Mandala, 8th book of the Rig Veda. Okay, I've got a quick quiz. Jamadagni Rishi, who is his son? Who is going to answer that quick question? Jamadagni is a very famous Rishi of the Vedic period.
Parashurama.
Parashurama, Padmaja ji says Parashurama. Anybody has a different view on this?
No.
Who else? Who else? Anandji, what was your answer?
Lord Parashurama.
Fantastic. Anybody else? I think Srikanji also was there.
Actually, there is a story Vishwamitra, isn't it? Because Jamadagni's wife and her mother or daughter, they both had this prasad from their father to have, and they exchanged the payasam or prasad. So they were exchanged here and there. Parashurama, I think, was supposed to be born in, I don't know, this is just Purana, I had heard once.
Thank you, Shilaji. Rajji?
Oh, I was going to say Parashuram, Guruji. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you very much. I think we all agree unanimously. So thank you, everyone. So Jamadagni is the father of Parashurama. Okay, Jamadagni is such a big rishi. He's a great rishi. Another thing, right? So we have forgot. Sometimes we don't celebrate our rishis at all. We just go to some fake modern, some fake fellow with long beard. We think these fellows are rishis. Yeah, that is far from the truth. The real rishis are of the Vedic times. I think in our satsang, we probably at some point take one of the rishis, in 10 mandalas of the Rig Veda, each one dedicated to a rishi, if you like. And then we pick up the, Shatarshi, Gritsmada, Vishwamitra, Vamadeva, Adri, Bharadwaja, Vasishta, Pragata, Pavamanya. And then, of course, in Kshudra Mahashukta Mandala, there are so many great rishis. So maybe we should pick it up. But we don't, we just go with behind all these long bearded fake fellows who are there in modern times. Anyway, that is Jamadagni, whose son is Parashurama, Lord Parashurama. The Devata for this Rig. Now remember, this is a Rig, isn't it? It's a mantra of the Rig Veda. So we need to think about Rishi Devata and Chandas here. So our Rishi Devata Chandas Upasana comes back in Aitareya Upanishad in this form. So Jamadagni is the Rishi. And who is the Devata? Pavamanaha is the Devata. Remember Pavamanaha, because Pavamanaha comes again and again in Aitareya Upanishad. He is there everywhere. Pavamanaha. Vayu's Antaryamin is called Pavamanaha. Okay? He is the Devata for this particular Rig. What is the meaning of Pavamana? Pava, Pavitra. Pavitra comes from Pava, pure, clean. He who makes us clean. Who makes us clean? The one that gives us the purest of knowledge is the one that actually makes us clean. Okay, and he is, you could say it is Mukhya Prana, or you could say Paramatma himself. Manaha, supreme bliss. By giving you the pure knowledge and making you clean, he gives you the supreme bliss. Manaha is also supreme bliss. So in that sense, Pavamanaha can be our Narayana or the Mukhya Prana, as described in the Pragata Mandala, 101st Sukta, 14th Rik. Chandas is Trishtup. Okay, Trishtup Chandas, Sachi Devi is the Abhimani Devata. Okay, so this Upanishad, so Aitareya is such a clever bloke. He actually gives a reference about his own composition in Rig Veda, and he says, Taduktam Rishina Prajahatisro. And that is what it says. There are three types. So initially we had dichotomization, isn't it? The surpassed doing ones and the unsurpassed one. So in the surpassed one, there are three types, and in the unsurpassed ones, there are three types, is what the Rig Veda is talking about. Prajahatisro, Atyayam Yiyur, Nyanya Arkam Abhito Vivishre, Brihattatastav Bhuvaneshwantaha, Pavamano Harita Avivesheti. This is the mantra. Of course, we have not recited it in the classic version. We are just doing Padapata, okay, to understand what is the meaning of this. So what is the meaning of this verse in Rig Veda? Pragata Mandala, 101st Sukta, 14th Rig. Okay? Beautiful. So Aitareya now explains this. What is the meaning of this Rig? Guys, what I have said before in the previous words, I have substantiated with this Rig. Now I am going to explain what the meaning of this Rig actually is from the Pragata Mandala. So Aitareya Upanishad actually gives an explanation of this Rig Veda mantra. Okay, so that is the beautiful way of looking at it. So it goes like this. So in the Rig Veda, what did it say? This is a beautiful verse. Yeah, I am never tired of reciting it. Taduktam Rishina Prajahati Sro Atyayam Yiyur Nyanya Arkam Nabito Vivishre Bruhattatastav Bhuvaneshwantaha Pavamano Harita Avivesheti Prajahatisro atyayam iyuriti yovaita imaha prajaha tisro atyayam ayan tani imani vayamsi vangavagatashta irapadaha nyanya arkam abito vivishra iti taimaha prajaha arkam abito nivishta imameva agnim बृहत्ततस्तौ भुवनेष्वन्तः इति आदौ एव बृहत् भुवन्वेष्वन्तः असौ आदित्यः पवमानो हरित आविवेशेति वायुरेव पवमानो दिशो हरित आविष्टः Aitareya Upanishad. Sounds like complicated words, but beautiful explanation of the rig that was given as a reference, and Aitareya now expands this. Okay, so I think we will have to make slow. We have to, as our gurus teachers, we have to crawl along the Aitareya Upanishad, not rush. Then we get lots and lots of information for our contemplation. So let's look at the first words. Prajahat Tisraha. Praja. So look at the praja. What does praja means? Not citizens. Okay. Pra plus ja. Pra. Pra is a name of Vishnu. Akaya pravisam bhuma sakaha Vishnuvachakaha. There are 11 names. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 names. Wherever in the Vedas you see Akaya Pravi Sambhuma Sakaha Vishnuvachakaha. Pra Jha, born from Vishnu. Praja means born from Vishnu. Okay. So what does that born from Vishnu mean? So we all know before this creation happened, Agre, before creation, where were we? We were in the womb of Brahman. Okay. Vedas talk about, and Nasadiya Sukta talks a lot about this. Okay. We were in the womb of Brahman. So we are, in that sense, all souls in the universe are God's children. Okay. If only we had this approach, there won't be the problems that you see, but that is a very utopian approach. Now, we don't even think about that we are all God's children. Okay, forget about folks fighting that my God is better than your God. But primarily, we are all God's children. Praja. We are Prajaha. Okay. So he says Prajaha Tisraha. 3 types of souls. Atyayam iyuhu. Okay. So Aitareya says there are 3 types of souls, guys, that have Atikramana of Brahman, that have ignored Brahman, they have rejected Brahman, they went against Brahman, they surpassed Brahman. Okay. Aitareya Upanishad says there are 3 types of souls that have transgressed Brahman. Okay. Now, here in the Rig Veda, what is happening here, just as a reminder, the Aitareya Upanishad is explaining the Rig Veda mantra. Yeah. What is that Rig Veda mantra said? Prajahatisro atyayam iyurti. Okay. Now our Upanishad is saying, who are the threes that have surpassed Brahman? Okay. In the next verse, okay, who are they? Atyayam tani imani. Atyayam tani imani. They are these. Tani imani. Aitareya says these. Those 3 that surpass Brahman, described in the Rig Veda Rig mantra, are these 3 described here. I'm going to tell you about this. Who are this? Vayamsi, Vangavagatashcha, Irapadaha. Okay. Complicated, archaic Vedic words. Okay. They can be misinterpreted big time, but we owe it to our Srimad Acharya, who has actually guided us to give the etymology of these words so that we understand who are these souls that have transgressed Brahman. And what we can do is, we can do a bit of our own evaluation in the world outside. Who are these fellows that fit into this category, or do we fit into this category? So we can actually, to some extent have that view. So Aitareya says there are 3 types that surpassed Brahman. Who are they? Vayamsi, Vangava gadashcha irapadaha. Very, very complicated words. Common meaning, if you look at it, if you open a Sanskrit dictionary of the modern times, Vayamsi, the ones that move in the sky, birds. Vangava gadashta, trees. Irapadaha, they could be four-footed animals or snakes. Okay, those are the common colloquial meanings. Okay, these guys don't surpass Brahman. Poor birds, they are because of their karmas, they are just flying. The trees are because of their past karmas, they are trees. The animals and the snakes, they are because of what is described in Chandogya Upanishad of, you become this, Shimmoho, Vyagrova, that verse in Chandogya Upanishad. These guys don't transgress this because of their karmas, they are there as birds. So 100% it's not the meaning of these. These are ignorant creatures, okay? If one does not recognize Brahman, how can one surpass or reject or go against it? Okay. So the meaning of this Vayamsi Vangavagadashta Ira Padaha is something totally different. And that is why Aitareya Upanishad, we need to crawl and navigate this very, very slowly because it's purely etymological. It breaks open the words and we have to go deeper and deeper and deeper. Chadayanti iti chandamsi, as it's called. You have to dissect it out to get the meaning. So it's completely etymological and secretive. So what is it that it is saying about Vayamsi Vangavagadashcha Irapadaha? Who are these folks that the Aitareya Upanishad is talking about who have rejected Brahman? Vayamsi. Okay. Let us first look about Vayamsi. What Vayamsi actually means. Vihayasya ayanat proktaha Vayamsi iti pishachakaha. Srimad Acharya's etymology. Vayamsi, beautiful. Vi ayanat. Vi, vihayas. Vihaya means akasha. Akasha means what? Sky. Ayanat, the ones that loiter in the skies. Okay, and cause a lot of problems. Pishachakaha, pishitam, annam, ashnati, iti pishachakaha. Those evil spirits, if you want to use that words that are out there in the sky, the flesh-eating demons in the sky, is what the Vedas say. These are the Vayamsis, the demons of the skies, in the skies. Vangavagada. Okay, complicated word. Vangavagada. Okay, Vangavagada has to be split in four ways. Vam, Gam, Avana, Gada. Gada, we know Gada means donkey. Okay, so that's a modern Gada. But Gada essentially means that which has unsatiable appetite. Desire to have more and more is a Gada. Okay, so Vam, Vartitam, Pravartitam. Gam, gamana, to go, gamayati, to go means to go is to know. Gam means jnanam. Okay. In whom does knowledge arise? Okay, humans. We don't have knowledge right from when we are born, right? As we go to school, as we go to Gurukula, as we learn, we gain knowledge. Okay. For them, jnana is not intrinsic. It is something that is acquired. Pravartitam jnanam. So humans are called Vanga. Okay. So you might see a lot of slangs out there about Vanga. Vanga means humans. Vam and Gam. Vangam. Avana is very interesting. Dependent on humans as food. Okay. Dependent on humans on food. Who are the ones that are dependent on humans on food? Man-eaters, cannibals, the Rakshasas. And you know the Baka Rakshasa, right? Who is going to share us the story of Baka Rakshasa in Mahabharata? Anybody wants to share that? In that village when our Pandavas were going, and then there is this Baka, right? So he's a Rakshasa who needed a whole cart of rice and one man to eat, and his appetite was never satisfied. Baka in Mahabharata, man-eaters and cannibals. Okay, and they have unsatiable appetite, desires, and to have more. Okay, so the Vedas describe Vangava Gadas or these cannibals, man-eaters on land. Okay, one of the greatest contribution of Bhima in Mahabharata is he eliminated all these Rakshasas in Bharata. He just eliminated so many of them, eliminated all the cannibals and man-eaters. The worst of the souls, Vangavagada, Vartita Jnanato Vanga, Narastair Avanam Sada, Annarupaid Grudnavohi Vangavagada Namakaha Rakshasaha. Etymology is decided by, as settled by Acharya. Very complicated words, but once we split it open, just stay with me on this, then you will be able to appreciate what is it that the Aitareya Upanishad is talking about here. Creatures from whom we should protect ourselves are called Rakshasas. Okay, so why are these fellows called Rakshasas? Rakshas means, or Raksha means to protect, isn't it? Rakshasas means those from whom we have to protect ourselves. That is why they are called Rakshasas. Okay, it's a beautiful etymology to describe this. So we understood Pishachas are Pishitam Annam Ashnati, like to eat meat. They are the Pishachas, flesh-eating demons. Okay. Vangavagadas are these cannibals, man-eaters, from whom we protect ourselves. Then we have the Irapadaha, the third category of souls that surpassed Brahman, says the Aitareya Upanishad. These guys are called Irapadaha. Very interesting again. Ira means Samira. So who is going to very quickly tell us who is Samira? What does Samira mean? Who gets the name Samira? You may have some folks in your family who's got Samira. What does Samira denote?
Is it air, Vayu?
Vayu. Thank you very much. Samira, Vayu, Mukhya Prana. Okay. So Ira literally means he who provides volition for all. Okay. That's some. Look at this. Akaya Pravi Sam Bhuma Sakaha. Some Ira. Ira, he who provides volition for all. Who provides volition for Ira? Some provides volition for Ira. So he is called Samira. In the Parama Mukhya Vritti, Samira is Vishnu's name. But because of some, he gets his ability for volition. So he, Mukhya Prana, is also called Samira. So beautiful etymology that we can get from that. So Irapadaha. Okay. So this Vayu, okay, this Vayu Tattva or Mukhya Prana is supposed to have four important qualities. Dharmo, Jnanam cha, Vairagyam, Aishwaryam, Chaturatmakaha. Vayur Deva. Atra Asura Namair Aishwaryam Guna Evahi. Okay, this is interesting. There are four primary attributes celebrated in the Vedas for Mukhya Prana or Samira or Ira. Four. So when I say Irapadaha means 1/4 of what Samira has. That is what Irapadaha means. So that is a complex derivation, but that's the Guhya Shastra. That is how you understand what the Vedic words are. So Aishwarya, Vairagya, Jnana and Dharma are the four primary qualities of Ira. Whereas these fellows, the Asuras, have 1/4 of this. They have Aishwarya. But no Vairagya, no Jnana, no Dharma. Okay. Classic examples of what? Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, Ravana. These fellows had a lot of Aishwarya, but no Vairagya, Jnana and Dharma. That is why they are called Asuras. Okay. Very beautiful. When I say Irapadaha, it is Asuras. So, our Aitareya Upanishad, they said there are three types who surpass Brahman. These guys are who? Who are these guys? These guys are Vayamsi Vangava Gadaha Irapadaha. These are the Pishachas, Rakshasas, and Asuras. The categories of souls that surpass Brahman. These are the Pishachas, Asuras, and Rakshasas who are described in our Puranas and in the Vedas. Yeah, they are actually categories of souls. What is their final destination? Tamasyandena nipatitaha. These fellows go into the deepest of pits. They go to the eternal hells because they have surpassed Brahman. Okay. So the direction of travel, I hope you're able to appreciate how the language of the Aitareya Upanishad evolves, that it starts with the four greatness of Brahman. Then it says, no, but don't forget, don't surpass. Then it says there are two categories, the ones that surpass and ones that don't surpass. The ones that surpass Brahman are the three types who are Rakshasas, Pishachakas, and Asuras. Now it says, who are the ones who don't surpass and who are ever my servants? That is what we are interested in, right? So Aitareya will just give you this reference and then he'll move on immediately as to who are the ones that are going to surpass. That will be the next few lines in this rik of the Pragata Mandala. So summarize this line. Three types of jivas transgress Brahman. Vayamsi, Vangavagada, Irapadaha. They are all Prajaha. That's why he said Prajaha Tisro. Prajaha Tisro, they are also my children, Aitareya says. They are also my children. They surpass me. I just let them play out their own inherent swabhava. They are my children. Why? We know that Chaturmukha is the son of Vishnu. Chaturmukha had 10 Manasaputra. Daksha had 13 daughters. Marichi, Kashyapa marries 13 daughters. Aditis all become Suras, Adityas. Diti becomes Daityas, Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha. Dhanu becomes Danavas, Kalakeyas, and so on. These guys are the Asuras. The Kali, Duryodhana, Kalanemi, Kamsa, Viprachitti, Jarasandha, Dushasana, Vikarna, Chitrasena, and all the things that we hear about in Mahabharata. They're all Asuras. They've transgressed Brahman. They transgress Krishna always. You see in Mahabharata, these five are always transgressing. So when we read the Mahabharata with our Aitareya Upanishad about the ones, the Vayamsi, Vangavagada, Irapadaha, it fits very well is with regards to how to approach Mahabharata in a deep philosophical sense with regards to the type of souls that are out there. Krishna could have changed Duryodhana to somebody else, but he doesn't, because he just lets them work out their salvation. What is their salvation? Well, Tamasyande Nipataha. Their final destination is eternal health. Okay, whether we like it or not, there are lots of such people out there in the news all the time. Those fellows will go to eternal health if you have your full faith in the Vedas. But three types of jivas did not surpass Brahman. Okay, so that is the next section. Maybe we will pick up on one and touch upon this before we pick it up in the next satsang. Srimad Acharya says, who are those three type jivas that did not surpass Brahman? Devashta, Rishayo, Martya, Sattama, iti cha trayaha. Okay, very complicated, but let's do some justice to the first type of souls that Aitareya Upanishad says, these guys do not surpass Brahman. What did it say here? Nyanya arkam abhito vivishre is what the Rig Veda mantra said, if you remember that one. Nyanya arkam abhito vivishre iti ta imaha prajaha arkam abhito nivishta imameva agnim. Okay, beautiful. So Rig Veda mantra says Nyanya arkam abhito vivishre. So Nyanya, you have to move words around. Vedic language, of course, sentence, you can move words here and there, yeah, and then get the meaning. So anya prajaha, okay, arkam abhitaha nivivishre. So both in the ihaloka and in the paraloka, that is what abhitaha means. Both in ihaloka and paraloka, they took ashraya in arkam. That is the first type of souls that did not surpass me. Okay. Anyanya arkam abhito vishre. So that was the Rig Veda mantra. Aitareya Upanishad gives an explanation of that. Ta imaha prajaha arkam abhito nivishtaha imameva agnim. Beautiful. Arkam. Abhitaha. Nivishtaha. Arkam. Arkam, in colloquial Sanskrit, Arkam means the sun. But in the ancient Sanskrit, Arkam means so many things. Okay. Arkam, Arkaha, Arichyate iti Arkaha. Okay. That which is worshipped on earth. Arichyate iti Arkaha. Okay. And there are many innumerable number of times we have actually done contemplation that the highest form of worship of this Brahman on earth is Agni. Okay? Arkaha here means Agnihi, okay? The fire. So that fire can be so many things, right? It could be material Agni, it could be Pradhana Agni, it could be Kala Agni, Rudra. And here, this is beautiful. I have highlighted this in Aitareya. Garuda comes a lot. Kalagni Rudra, Garuda in Agni, Pranagni, Chaturmukha, Kalagni Durga, and of course Agni Naraya. So these folks who worship this Arka, who is primarily Agni Narayana, with the symbolic presentation of Agni in a yajna. So these are the first category of souls that do not surpass me, is the first declaration of Aitareya. Nyanya arkam abito vivishre ta imaha prajaha arkam abito nivishtaha imameva agnim. Agni Narayana. And of course, our Agni Sukta, that is the very first verse, right? Agnim ile purohitam yagnasya devam rutvijam hotaram ratnadatamam agnim ile. We adore this Agni. Who is this Agni? Agni Shabdo ayam agra eva abhipujyatam agrayatvam agra netrutvam attim anganga netrutam Rigbhashvam of Srimad Acharya, to understand what that Agni is, because that is what this guy is saying here in Aitareya. They worship that Agni, not this material Agni. They worship this Agni Narayana. Okay. Agre Nayati, the first to be adored. Agrayatvad, first and foremost of all. Agre Nayati, the prime mover of all. Attim, the devourer of all. Angam Nayati, the activator of bodies of all. Agam Nayati, activator of all, or else they will remain inert. Okay, so that Agni Narayana they worship in the fire, which is the highest form of worship. Okay. So the Manushyottamas meditate on Brahman as Arka, present in Agni. Okay. So that is the understanding of what Aitareya is telling us, that there are some categories of souls that worship Brahman as Arka, present in Agni. Arka means what here? Arichyate iti Arkaha. That celebration, that Ahanamaka Paramatma is celebrated in Agni. Okay, that Manushyottamas, they are the first category, they are the lowest category among the categories that worship me, is what Aitareya is saying. And of course, for us, we have done it a million times. Agni is the highest pratika or symbol for worship of Brahman on earth for Manushyottamas. Why is that the case? Let's think about this before we close today's satsang. Why do we think that the Agni is the highest form? We seem to be going to all sorts of temples made of stone, metal, wood, what have you. But Vedas are very clear here. Nyanya arkam abito vivishraha iti ta imaha prajaha arkam abito nivishtaha imameva agnim. No other forms of celebration has come here in Aitareya Upanishad. Agni is given the most important symbol of Brahman. So why do we think so? What are our views as to why should we focus on Agni first? Anybody wants to share their thoughts? Okay, no problem. So we have done this. Sorry, we had somebody. Yeah.
The fire is the only element that cannot be contaminated by anything.
Purest form.
Purest form.
Purest form, beautiful. That's one important thought. Any other thoughts, Neetaji, Sushuji, or others about Agni as the highest pratika of worship of Brahman on earth?
It elevates upwards.
Upwards,
Because-
great, Shilaji. Yeah, fantastic. Anything else?
Doesn't matter
Actually-
what is offered, it purifies.
Purifies, beautiful, Sureshji. Anything else?
In the yajna also we see the Brahma, isn't it? The eyes and the nose,
Tongue.
and then tongue, and we put it in the.
Yeah, beautiful, Neetaji. That is another reason we see Vishnu in the fire. Yeah. Anything else?
Of the available Panchabhutas, Agni is the purest one.
And Agni has Rupa, isn't it?
Okay, excellent. Anything else? And what does Agni do when it is dark?
It drives.
It lights. Sure.
Lights. Yeah, knowledge.
Illuminates and
Enlightens.
Yes. Enlightenment. Yes.
Yeah, sorry, Manjunath ji, go for it.
Yeah. It in the darkness it gives light. That means enlightens with the knowledge.
Yeah, excellent. So many things about Agni that we've all captured as satsangis who have been thinking about this Agni over so many years. That is exactly what these Manishyottamas, the Satvika souls do. They worship this Agni, who is who symbolizes purity, light, knowledge, and all other concepts that we have shared just now about why Agni is the highest pratika of Brahman, and that is why wherever you go, first thing you do is Agni Pratishtha, you do Agni Homa, you do Agni Hotra, whatever else. Then comes all others. Yeah, of course, you may have, it may not be practically feasible to always, do yajna and fire sacrifice to celebrate Brahman. You may have to find other solutions. So you'll go to this temple with deities and you do, whatever puja and everything else. Okay, so those are also important, but our Vedas have given primary importance to this Agni. This Arkanamaka Paramatma, who is in Agni, who is Arichyate, to be worshipped. Okay, so that is the first among the souls that don't surpass Brahman. So we have a long way to go in this particular verse. Yeah. Then it says Bruhattatastau Bhuvaneshwantaha iti Adavu eva Bruhat. Okay. There is a second category of souls who look at Adavu, Adu Antiva. When we say in Kannada Advu, in other regional languages Adu. Okay. That is exactly what in Sanskrit. Adavu eva Bruhat. There is another one on the sky which is a bigger light. Bhuvaneshwantaha. His light pervades everywhere. Asav Adityaha. That fellow there, so far away, that Adityaha. That is the second category of souls that worship that Asav Adityaha. Then it goes to the another level and says there are the highest levels of Jivottamas, the Tattvabhimani Devatas, not Jivottamas, Tattvabhimani Devatas. The highest among souls, how do they worship? Pavamano Harita Avivesheti. They worship this Paramatma inside this Pavamana. Hamsaha Suchishat. The Vedas are full of this. Vayur Anilam Amrutam Mata Idang Basmatam. Pavamano Haritaha. And there are the Tattvabhimani Devatas, the highest among souls that worship this Antaryamin who is in Pavamana, who is all pervasive. Okay, so it builds that argument or that idea about what those three types of souls are that have not transgressed Brahman, and what are the type of souls that have transgressed Brahman. This is from Aitareya Upanishad, which gives a reference from Rig Veda. Okay, 100% we are not Brahman. Okay, for folks who think they are 100% deluded, this is not the first verse of Aitareya Upanishad, and I am convinced that conveniently certain chapters have not been commentated upon because they are extremely monotheistic and it's problematic for some of the nihilistic thinkers, and they have conveniently forgotten about these verses. But our Srimad Acharya, to whom we have to be eternally grateful, he has had an unbiased view of the Aitareya Upanishad, and he has taken the Maha Aitareya Upanishad from the very first verse, and he's telling us, look guys, look what is this Pustaka is saying about what is the state of the universe. That there are three types of souls that have transgressed Brahman, and there are three types of souls that have not transgressed Brahman. From now on, in the rest of this chapter, and then going on to Ukta Vidya and so on, it is going to be how these three categories of souls worship and celebrate Brahman. It is just incredible the way it goes through. Then it goes through the Brihati Sahasra. Then it goes to the Kunda of the Brihati Sahasra. And then it takes up Garuda. and then it does the philosophy of that. So it is layers and layers of philosophy that is compressed in Aitareya Upanishads. Hopefully, we will navigate this in the coming several months. Okay. So on that note, I'm going to close today's session. Krishna Pranamastu. And if we have any further questions, we'll take it up at this point of time. Last week, I did tell you that Shivaramaswamy Maharaj was going to talk to us, but he's slightly away. And I think he has sent a message saying that he would want to talk to us on the 15th of February. Okay, so Anandji.
Madhuji, when there is such a profound explanation about the three types of souls who supersede Lord, what made some people to interpret Vayamsi and Vangavagata and Irapada as trees, snakes, and the birds? How could it have been interpreted? There should be something, isn't it?
Yeah. It's you have to ask Sayanacharya and Sadguru Shishya Anandji as to why they decided to interpret like that. And Srimad Acharya goes way before that, before Sayanacharya or Sadguru Shishya, and he actually goes to the original verses. He is Sarvajna, right? He has an entirely different view, contextual relevance. That is what the greatness of Srimad Acharya's Bhashya is about contextual relevance. What is it that is being described here? And why is everything etymological? Why is that Sarva Shabda Vachyatya has been is to be used? How do you do the Samanvaya? He is actually, in his work, he has actually shown how we have to do this. So that is why we have to be eternally grateful for Srimad Acharya for actually giving us the right direction. Why some people, make those kind of interpretations is I don't know, Anandji. It's their swabhava possibly.
It was said, Prajahi Tisra, Praja itself, because after you explained, Praja does not mean either the trees or animals or snakes or birds. Praja is the human versions of it, isn't it?
Yeah. And then Anandji, Praja also has a lot of other meanings which is going to come in the next verse. Prajaha Prakrishta Jataha. So then Uktam hi Prajaha Vadanti Tad Idameva Uktam Iyameva Prithvi Itohi Idam Sarvam Uttishtati. It goes on Ukta Vidya where that Praja is slightly different. So it's beautiful how our Acharya picks up these words. But thank you very much, Anandji, for that.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Super. If there are no further questions, Anandji, do you want to do Omkara and we close today's session?
Yeah, sure. Om.
Thank you very much, Anandji. Stay safe, everyone. Look forward to next week where we pick up the ones that worship the sun, the one that worship Antaryamin in Pavamana, and then we move to the Ukta Vidya, which is incredible. Yeah, okay. We'll pick it up in that sequence. So, Hare Krishna, everyone. Take care.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Madhu.
Thank you, Madhuji. Hare Krishna.